Hello everyone and welcome back to Chess Lover Chess Channel. As many of you must be already knowing, Nepomniachtchi has won the candidates tournament, and however will not be challenging Magnus Carlsen, as he has said that he is not motivated to play. So he will be challenging the second player of the candidate. So the one who came second is Dingleren. So before we discuss more about that, we and why Magnus Carlsen didn't accept and what happened regarding all of those stuff. We will see a game between Nepomniachtchi and Alireza Firouzja, which happened in the 2022 candidates tournament. So here Nepomniachtchi had the white pieces. Is a very spectacular game. Many people have definitely already seen it, like it's almost pretty sure. So Nepomniachtchi opens the game with one e4. We have c5 by Firouzja, as he normally goes for the Sicilian when he wants to put pressure on his opponents. Knight to f3, we have d6, and as usual, like everybody's playing, the open Sicilian by Nepomniachtchi. So d4, c captures on d4, knight captures on d4. We have knights to f6, knights to c3, and going for the knight of defense with a6. And okay, we have f3, going for the standard stuff. e5, kicking the knight away, and now knight back to b3 by Nepo. We have bishop to e6, and now bishop to e3. We have bishop to e7, and now just queen to d2. So normal stuff. Nepo wants to cast queen side and start an attack on the king side. Well, whereas Firouzja wants to castle king side, maybe win this here like this. And okay, castles by Firouzja and castles on the queen side by Nepomniachtchi. So we have knight beat to d7, and Nepo doesn't waste any time. He starts with g4. He says, all right, you can go for your attack. I'm just going to launch this attack. We have b5. Firouzja says the same. And now g5. Nepo kicks the knight away. However, here Firouzja, as you guys know, is a very aggressive player. He's very tactical, and he doesn't like moving his pieces, right? Like he doesn't want to just move this or this because the knight is under attack. What do you do when your knight gets under attack? Many people will just be like, okay, I'm just going to move the knight. Not Firouzja. Firouzja says, all right, you attacked my knight, I attack your knight. Because of course, if you take, then I'm completely winning. Like, okay, not winning, but I take this also, and then this, I mean, sorry, what am I doing? This is a check, so that's the problem. But knight h5 was the best move. And this b4 move is a mistake because of just knights to e2. Like, why is it a mistake? Because you're getting attacked, right? Like, Nepo's gonna start pushing, and you're helping Nepo bring his knight to the attack. Like, why would you do that? But okay, knights to e8 by Firouzja. Now you have to move. Now you're putting pressure on the g5 pawn. For the moment, not attacking it because I have two defenders and so do you, but you have two attackers. We have f4 by Nepo. Now, of course, f5 would be nice to get, but it's not really a big problem. So Firouzja allows it. a5, he wants to just continue his pushing. f5, Nepo's very happy. Of course, the only good move, okay, I mean, you can take, but why would you give up that? So just bishop to c4. You would give up the bishop for this bishop, not just the bishop for this knight. And here Nepomniachtchi plays an interesting move. He plays king to b1. And yes, okay, correct. You want this is just a prophylactic move. You want the king out of the c file. However, you can just go with knight g3. You actually don't need this because no pieces on the c file. There is nothing. Like, okay, even if you take, and you cannot take back because a4, which is going to be pretty risky, takes. Even if rook c8 comes, I'm just going to go king b1. This is no problem. You don't need to rush with king b1. But okay. King to b1 instead played by Nepo. We have a4 attacking the knight, and now just knight beat to c1. It's also one of the reasons you have to do this because this looks like this looks like this looks like after knights to g3 a4, right? No, not here. First we got to take on f1 because of course our bishop was hanging. And then after bishop takes f1, I'm predicting you can just take rook takes f1. And like, okay, I think rook d takes f1 was better, but anyway, it's fine. So now it looks like a4, right? Like, what next? It's not much of a problem because you still have knight a1. And then you can get c3 and knight c2. And if you try to play a3, okay, then I guess it's slightly of a problem, but this is not terrible because now I can capture this. I can get c3 and then knight c2. Basically, you need to do c3, basically, because now I'm attacking this. You have to defend that. Yeah, basically. So since you have to defend that, it gives me a chance to go c3. But okay, instead Nepo goes for king b1, which is much more human-like. So we have king to b1. And now a4. As we mentioned, knight b to c1 now. And now d5. Of course, Firouzja knows nothing about going back. He only knows how to go forward. So he goes d5. He gives up a pawn to get his pieces into activity. However, Nepomniachtchi does the same. He goes f6. He wants to break up the g file for attacking purposes. Okay, you can go bishop c5 or bishop d6, but that's not how you play chess, especially not Firouzja. So we have g captures an f6 by Firouzja, g captures an f6, and here Firouzja makes an interesting move. Now here you can take the, oh my god, you can take the pawn with the bishop, the knight on knight df6 and knight ef6. Probably the best move is knight e takes f6. Why? Because you're bringing out the knight from a terrible square. But it doesn't look normal because after knight df6, you need your knight here to g7. That's what everybody would think, right? Actually, you don't. You don't need this knight to g7 because of bishop h6. Not only that, if we go to bishop takes f6, okay, bishop takes f6 just makes no sense. Like, it makes absolutely zero sense. Okay, it might look okay, but it just made no sense at all. Knight g3 is coming. I'm just bringing my knight to f5. So instead of knight d takes f6, instead of knight e takes f6, Firouzja goes for knight d takes f6. We have knights to g3. Now Nepomniachtchi brings the knight. Now he's finally trying to go here. And of course, looking at the trade. Now the engine's telling me and screaming at me for something very, sorry, not that, amazing. And that is knights to d4. What in the world is this move? This is a crushing move because if you take, yeah, so if you take bishop takes d4, and basically I'm just saying you have nothing. My bishop is just killing over here. e5 and e6 is coming, this is coming, queen g2 is coming, rook g1 is coming. You're just dead. You're just dead. So we have, instead of knight g3, bishop takes f1, and now rook h takes f1 by Nepo. We have a3. Firouzja tries to continue his attack, but after a3, just b3 by Nepo. Now the only weakness here is b2, but how in the world are you ever going to get a piece here? Because my queen is literally guarding this. So we have king to h8. Firouzja tries to move away from the g file, but e captures on d5. Nepo grabs a pawn. And here is the moment where things get a little exciting, and a little not exciting for Alireza, and really exciting for Nepo. Now, as you can see, this bishop is the most important piece here. You know why? Because I have to defend these 2 pawns. If I give up these 2 pawns, white is completely winning. What Firouzja did was just he played 96, blocked out his bishop, and thought knight e4 was coming, but completely missed. After I take, I still got e4. If I was back here, I'm not caring about the engine saying queen c7 or whatever thing that is, I would just play rook g8. I control the own file. I don't even care about the engine. It's so scary. However, Alireza just played 96 and just completely blundered b4. And okay, Nepo happily grabbed it. Queen captures on b4. Now, why is this such an important pawn? Because that pawn was stopping this amazing chain if the pawn comes to c4. But now you can't stop it. So we rook to c8 by Firouzja, trying his best to bring the rook to c5. But this is where things get awesome. This is when Nepomniachtchi showed who he really is. He played bishop to b6. He said, all right, I'm attacking your queen. And what are you going to do? Now, let's understand things. What are you going to do? So if you played queen to e8, just to move the queen away, first of all, you only have this and this, right? If queen to f8, a queen to e8, I'm going to take your knight. So I take this, you take this, and I take this. Okay, clear. So of course, if you do that, I just take your free pawn, so you're not going to do that. And okay, if you move the bishop, I bring my knight. This is like very good for white. However, in the game, Purusha played queen to d7, and this is where Nepomniachtchi showed he is the master after Magnus Carlsen, of course. But he is the master. Queen to e1. He now attacks the e5 pawn and says you have no way of defending. If you take a look, there are not much ways because this queen to d7 stopped knights to d7. So okay, if you go knights to g4, just pretty obvious. I can just kick you with h3. So Alireza played the only move to defend, and that is rook to b8. He attacks the bishop and says, now your bishop is under attack, you cannot take. But if you do take, which did not happen in the game, by the way, we will, of course, take this. And after this, we do not take this. That's the tricky part. The tricky move is knights to c4. Oh, yeah. Now, what is going on here? All right. First things first. I am attacking your rook. Then I am attacking your queen. This queen is under attack, so if you take this and say it's a discovered check, I just grab your queen. Thank you very much. So now you have to move the queen over f5 because if I take now, your queen hangs. So you have to take, and now I have to take with the rook, and this is how you play. However, this was what Alireza had planned. However, Nepomniachtchi went for the simple bishop to a5. He just wants to bring bishop to c3 and put more pressure. Now, how does rook b8 guard the pawn? Now, knights to c4. I guard the e5 pawn like this using the pin. However, d6, I kick you. If you capture with the bishop, I capture your knight. If you capture with the knight, I capture your pawn. If you capture with the queen, I capture with the rook. Of course, you cannot capture. So Firouzja offers a bishop trade, but Nepo declines. He goes bishop to c3, attacks the e5 pawn, queen to e6 now, and now knights to d3. Again, Nepo puts a lot of pressure on the e5 pawn. So we have knights to d5. Firouzja puts pressure on the bishop, but Nepo doesn't mind. He goes knights to f4. So this is the pin now. I am also attacking this. So we have knight captures an f4, rook captures an f4, and now f6, blocking this pin, but now this pin is now active. So with queen to e2, now I'm attacking your knight. And now knights to b2. Of course, like if you take, you're just giving up for no reason. So we've rook d to f1 by Nepo. He wants to put pressure on the f6 pawn, but now rook to e8. And okay, now I am guarding this, so now you have to move your rook. So we have rook to h4 now. He is having some queen h5 pressure, and now f5. So Firouzja attacks the rook, but this is where Nepomniachtchi starts to crush. Rook captures on h7. Boom, a brilliant move. And after king captures on h7, queen to h5 with check. So if you, of course, if you block, you're hanging your own rook. So king to g8 by Firouzja. Of course, if you go king to g7, you're going right into knight takes f5 with check. So king to g8 now, but now still knight captures an f5. We have bishop to f6. Alireza tries to bring his bishop to defense, but now just rook to g1 with check by Nepo, and it was in this position on move 39, just one move before time control was reached. On move 39, that Alireza Firouzja humbly resigns and knows that this position is now lost and has no hope, and he knows that he has no hope of even surviving this to a draw. So yeah, that was a very crazy game. Nepomniachtchi really just outplayed Alireza the whole time, and I think Nepomniachtchi finished a 2-point lead or something. And then came second, and third game he carved. So Magnus Carlsen actually said no. So many people would be wondering, why did he say no? He simply said he had no motivation, and he, like, of course, he went to Madrid to watch the candidates ending, and of course he talked with the FIDE president, Arnautovic Dolkovic, and yeah, so they had some talks, and yeah, in the end, his decision, after a long time of consideration, he has decided he's not motivated to play the next World Championship. So if for example only, Nepo wins this, I don't think Magnus would be interested in playing the candidates either, but we'll see. That's some time to go. So everybody, thank you for watching, and I hope you like this video. If you want more of my content, please subscribe, hit the like button, and make sure you hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my new videos. So thank you everybody, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.